Hi, everyone. As some of you may already know, I'm Shani and I manage our strategic partners over here at Oktopost. Thank you so much for joining me in our 8th episode. I can't believe it's our 8th episode of our From the Expert series. With me today are Colin Day, Octopost's Managing Director in EMEA, and we have a super special guest. We have Jamie Lewis, who's the Director of Business Development over at Adobe. I always forget to skip slides in this part. Sorry, this is Jamie. Jamie, the Director of Business Development over at Adobe with the Marketo Engage Group, and a really fantastic partner. We're so excited to have you on board for this webinar today. These two and myself, we're going to be talking all about the power of social media engagement inside of Marketo Engage. I do just want to remind everyone you are on mute. If you have any questions at all, there is a Q&A box and a chat box just on the Zoom screen. Feel free to drop them in there and we will be sure to get to them at the end of the webinar. And another thing, we have Jen Gutman, our Director of Social Strategy, live tweeting. So if you have any thoughts or any feedback, any input at all, please feel free to tweet us at Oktopost and use the hashtag from the experts. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. Colin, to set the tone for today, why do we B2B marketers need social media?
That's a great question, Shani. But before we get into that, so you're actually saying that we've got Jen Gutman's like live tweeting stuff. So we're actually using social. So we're actually using socials like during this actual podcast. Sorry,
it's like I handed this topic to you on a silver platter.
You did. So what was the question? Sorry, I've forgotten it now.
Why do we need social media as B2B marketers?
Oh yeah. So look, that's a great question, right? I mean, look, how many of us are carrying phones and tablets and smart devices around with us, right? The B2B buyer's journey's changed, and customers have started to adopt a level of self-sufficiency and proactiveness that no longer aligns with what we would class as conventional sales models. How often are we on our phones? How often are we checking social? It looks like you're checking social media right at this minute. It's like Shani, right? You would think,
right?
I'm
just casually in the middle of my webinar.
Exactly. It happens. My grandmother phoned me in the middle of one, like the other day. Not sure where she got a mobile phone from, but look. The traditional sales model is changing, right? So, today more than ever before, social media plays a significant role in shaping the way that, our prospects and our customers engage with us as individuals, as well as, with the brands and the companies that we work for. Yeah, if you look at the B2B buying journey, right? It's like more than 50% of B2B buyers now turn to networks such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, in order to get peer reviews, in order to get information, in order to help them with those key strategic purchasing decisions.
Absolutely. I know when I was first looking at Oktopost nearly 4 years ago, I went to social media first. I wanted to understand what this organization is, what the company culture is like. And this is just from a hiring perspective as well. We go to social media for everything these days. It's really that first touch for a majority of people, which I think is hugely looked over in the B2B space. And luckily, there are ways that we can now understand social media a little bit better and understand its role in that overall buyer's journey.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Shani, right? In so much as, if you think about like that buyer's journey, right? And you think about that journey that people go on, right? It's like it used to be, hey, I get a phone call from my sales rep, right? Or I place a phone call to my sales rep. Sure, that still happens. How many sales reps have tried to connect with people in the last 6 months, right? It's like unless you know people's mobile phone numbers, this time that we're living in at the moment, this moment in times, like it's near on impossible, right? The events that we used to go to, right, in-person events. Jamie, what happened to Marketing Nation this year, right? It's like it went virtual. right? So the opportunity to engage with people in person is no longer there, and more than ever, people are turning to social in order to fill some of that void and some of that gap.
And we had more
and that human connection.
at Summit this year.
You had more people at Summit this year, did you say, Jeff?
Thousands more.
Yep, tens of thousands more because they could do it virtually, right? They didn't have to get on an aeroplane and fly, right? Right, but what does that have to do with social? It's like the fact is social is just a key engagement channel these days. Whether it be what some people call social selling, right? It's like social selling really, in this day and age is just selling. Right, it's like how many people have LinkedIn profiles? Probably the majority of us, right? It's like how many people use LinkedIn in order to get thought leadership material or get insights into topic X, Y, and Z. How many people use LinkedIn to go out and ask a question of someone with inside their network, because people trust their peers, people trust people they know, and it's very easy, right? It's like I had an inquiry come in today from a former colleague, asking me statistics around like social media and what are some of the best practices. Historically, probably wouldn't been able to get hold of me because of time zone differences, etc. But and the distance, and social media just connects people no matter where they are in the world.
It bridges gaps, and I think it definitely breaks down the barriers, and it just makes it a lot more of a personable, humanized experience, which is really what we're all after.
Yeah, and people buy from people, right? So
right.
It is really, really important that
and no better place to be a person than on social media.
You can sometimes hide behind your social profiles. I'm not going to bring Donald Trump or any political people into this conversation, Shani. But people buy from people, right? And as you say, it's like social helps to break down some of those corporate barriers, and it helps you. Look, I was always taught in my career at SunGard many years ago, right? We had a saying that the power was in the network, and when we're talking about the network there, we weren't talking about the fiber, right, that connects computer systems or connects technology. We were talking about the network of people, right, and the power that network brings with you.
Definitely. So because today we are talking about really the power of social media engagement, I did just want to add a little bit of a breakdown. When we think social engagement, I think it's very easy for us to think of the metrics, the likes, the shares, the comments, but it does go well beyond that into the link clicks and into social conversions and impressions. And really at the end of the day, the most important thing is to understand what you're being measured on and what effective, data can help you better yourself at your job and your role and continue improvement. So when we're talking social media engagement, we're talking about all encompassing, from the link clicks down to the retweets, and everything in between. And I did just want to include this in here because we do send the deck afterwards, and I thought that this could be a helpful little point. But moving into our next topic, how can I, and when I say I actually mean the audience, how can the audience benefit from having that social engagement data? In this scenario, into Marketo Engage, but in marketing automation and being able to leverage it even in CRM. Colin, did you want to maybe take the lead on that one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, Shani, the simplest way to look at it, right, is four specific areas, right? You know me, I love numbers and I love statistics, right? But 4 specific areas. Simplest one is lead nurturing, right? So from a social engagement perspective, Shani, you're quite socially active, right? You put a lot of material out there. Sometimes that's done on Oktopost's behalf. Sometimes it's done on your behalf. As a brand, if I was able to get to see who is engaging with the content that you're posting out on behalf of the company, and say it was Colin, right? Just use me as an example. I engage with a post you put out there, and that post has some relevance or a semblance of relevance to the brand, let's just say that, based upon what I'm engaging with, with those social posts on, take that information and be able to route me in or place me into a nurture stream or a nurture queue, so that you can drip additional content out to me through other channels that that you may know I participate in, such as email, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one. Second part is, look, the reason for automation, or marketing automation technology such as Marketo is to enable us to do things at scale, right? And what do we want to do with those results once we've done stuff at scale? Once people are engaging with us, we want to put it into our lead scoring models, right? So the second of the four, would be, how do I take social engagement activity, and based upon that activity, use it to impact and influence lead scoring. So, for example, that LinkedIn post. Just following on from that example, it was a LinkedIn post you put out there. I engaged with it. I put a little comment on there. I said, you know what, it's like Shanice, like this feature or this function or this topic is fantastic. Sign me up, right? Guess what? That's probably deemed as positive sentiment, right? So I've engaged with you through LinkedIn, through a social channel. I've given you a comment. You're able to interpret that comment, and now you're able to do something with it. Take it back into lead scoring, and maybe increase my Marketo lead score by 5 or 10. Right? It's like anything that's done socially is a very, very public act, right? So maybe positive sentiment on a social channel, is probably a higher indication that someone's going to buy something from you than opening an email or clicking through on a call to action on an email. Right. The third area, bringing all of that together, is really like lead attribution. Right. So where did my leads originate from? What marketing tactics did I deploy? Against this particular individual or this particular opportunity, that saw it close versus this particular opportunity, right? And at the moment, it's like most organizations have a huge gap in that, because there isn't any social engagement information brought into their attribution models, right? So that's another area to focus on. And then the fourth area is really like lead segmentation, and it goes back to a little bit with regards to nurturing, but based upon social engagement activity and behavior, being able to bring that back into the marketing automation platform in order to better segment your leads, so that you can improve the flow through the lead funnel. When I think of sales, I always talk about the 3 V's of sales, right? Volume, value, and velocity. And really, what better lead segmentation does from a sales perspective is, hopefully, it starts to impact those 3 V's, especially the velocity side of things. How fast can I flow something through from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel, and impact the bottom line of the business.
I think it's also, we always say at Oktopost, you can't improve what you can't measure, but at the same time, you can't understand what's effective until you're measuring its effectiveness. You don't know if social is effective if you're just, posting out there to have a social presence. Why not take the time to understand how that content resonates with your audience, and understand how far that reach goes with your advocates and with your, fellow employees. It's crucial information to understand, to be able to really, again, know and understand which touch points are the most effective for which individuals or which group of individuals. And I think people will find more and more that social media is a really crucial touch point along the way. I always say, thinking a prospect goes dark because they're not opening your emails anymore, or you don't see that they're visiting your website, they could be clicking around and doing a whole lot on social media. And when that data is sitting in a silo and it's sitting to the side, you're missing out on really a world of opportunities there.
I think you hit the nail on the head, right there. It's like Shanice, like you don't know what you don't know, right? So
You don't exactly.
Right, and one way to get to know it is to measure it. If you can't measure it, then guess what? Did it really happen?
Yeah, exactly. What is it? A tree in the woods, it falls, and you know the spiel.
No, I don't.
If
You've
a tree
lost me on
falls
that
in
one.
the woods and you don't hear it, did it happen? Is that a thing? Tweet me if I'm right, please.
There you go. There you go.
So, I mean, listen, I jumped ahead a second, sorry. But when we're speaking about the power of social media, the point of the conversation, it's not to say social is your number one or your most effective, channel for revenue, for conversions, for whatever. I just got someone say it's a thing. Thank you.
They can't hear you. It's like down the road. It's like can you shout it a bit louder? Yeah. Whoever put that, it's like you've just like really like made her day. Thank you. Yeah.
You really did. Thank you. So we're not ever saying, hold on, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, did it make a sound? Same thing with measuring data on social,
Absolutely.
Right? Apples
Absolutely.
to apples.
You've got it.
Back to the current conversation. When we're talking about the power of social engagements and the effectiveness of social media, we're not to say only focus on social media and put all of your efforts into social media. It's simply understand how it contributes to the bottom line. When I'm looking at this slide, I understand here, we're getting our data in marketing automation from three main sources. We have our email clicks and opens, and we know that because we're sending our emails from marketing automation. We have our website visits, and we know that because we have our tracking and our cookies on our website, and we have our CRM data because those are integrated and they're communicating together. When we're adding social data into the mix here, we're just enhancing and improving our existing programs, our existing flows, our existing smart lists. It improves it on an overall level, from that customer experience down to the communication strategies. And really, I think I like to kind of associate social media with real time-ish. I think it makes it very easy to act in real time. When we see an individual that's engaging with our content on social, they did that action right then and there. We can jump on that opportunity and nurture and have a bit more of those meaningful conversations based on those likes and those comments and those shares that are happening on the corporate profile, on the corporate pages, and the advocacy profiles as well. So I think that's always important to drill in. It shouldn't only be this and it shouldn't only be that, but it is important to get that 360-degree view and that bigger picture. And social media has to be incorporated into that bigger picture.
Yeah, Shani, it really comes down to having an integrated campaign strategy, right? So that's really what you're talking about there. It's not, not everything on events, not everything on white papers. We wouldn't do everything on blogs, right? It's not one content type or one delivery channel. It's a blend, and an important channel and an important part of that blend is social.
Yeah,
there's no getting 100%. Away from it, right? Whether you're B2B or B2C, right? It's
exactly.
Or B2G or B2 whatever, right? It's
or B2C to B.
You've got it. It's social's here and social's here to stay, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I wanted to jump into just some use cases, just because I think that this is really where the power lies. Colin, I'm happy to kind of pass this over to you if you wanted to discuss some of these. Jamie, would love, obviously, to hear your input being on the Marketo Engage side, although I do know that you have a pretty important section coming up that I think is going to tie this all together. But Colin, did you want to maybe talk us through some of these use cases? I think we have like 3 or 4 in here.
Yeah, no worries. So, look, it's the reason you asked Jamie if he wanted to comment is, just looking at the color's purple, right? So these are obviously screenshots that you've taken from a Marketo instance somewhere, right, Shani? Yeah. But it's what this one really talks to, right, is the 4 points that I raised earlier on. It's one of them was around segmentation, right, and how do you go about incorporating social engagement or leveraging the power of that social engagement in order to impact segmentation and add people to various smart lists or move them from one smart list to another. This one really shows you what happens when someone's clicking on a social link, being able to take that information and change value A to value B. In this instance, it's adding someone to the advocacy list. Shani, if you want to just move on to the next one for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just have to move the video. It's like of your head. I've got your head over everything, so I apologise. Right? It's a very beautiful head. It's a very beautiful head, but so on this one, it's like this again, it's like coming directly out of Marketo, and this is dropping someone into or moving someone from one nurture campaign or placing someone in a nurture campaign, right? So just an example of through the social engagement that is taking place, we're able to take that or Marketo has the ability, coupled with the Oktopost platforms, to take those social engagements and use them for the purposes of ensuring that someone moves from nurture stream A to nurture stream B, or someone is placed directly into a nurture stream based upon that content that they're engaging with.
You can jump in real quick, and that's
Yes.
kind of the power of Marketo, is to be able to listen to those behavioral and make decisions, automated decisions based on that. And so that's why it's really powerful to integrate Oktopost to Marketo Engage, because they can sync based on the person's identity, based on what the person does across social, across email, across web, mobile. All those different channels can be unified, and you're listening to all the different channels and understanding what their behaviors are. People, some people like to be on mobile. Some people like to be on social. Some do email. I like email myself. So you're going to be listening to all those channels and reacting differently based on what channel they're interacting with. People on social might be more interested in funner content, more lively content, more lighter content. And so you'll interact with them based on that preference. But other people who are more in a kind of a buying stage, they're researching, they're following influencers, they're downloading white papers. They're more serious, and they're looking for more serious content. So you're listening to all these behaviors across multiple channels. Then you can make those decisions within Marketo to put them in particular types of nurture streams.
And it also comes down to personalization, right? So you mentioned channel there, Jamie, or device, right? How do I want to consume my data or my information? But it's also about what information gets delivered out to them, right, through that channel, right? So it's really right message or right content, right channel, right time, right? So I want to consume it. I think what you were saying is I want to consume it when I want it, not when you want to give it to me. So I want to consume it when I want it, and I want to consume it on whatever channel is most appropriate for me, be that social, be that email, be that whatever. Right, and I want the message that is put out to me to be, meaningful, relevant, and pertinent. Right, so being able to take social beacons, let's call it that, right? It's like data points about what I'm engaging with on social, and then being able to use that to impact what nurture stream I fall into in this example, then helps as an organization, helps the brand drive that personalized content strategy out to the consumer. And consumer there, I don't mean B2C, I mean, it's like, you know, consumer of the information, right? So, you know, in this particular, you know,
I
example,
love this one. I think that this is just the perfect example of marketing technology communicating effectively together. So this is, I love this this use case.
So it's like you've got a little love fest going on there.
I mean, I do love me an interesting moment. What can I say?
So Shanice, like, and say just to bring on, it's like, you know, for those people that may not have the visual in front of them, because they may just be listening, right, and not have the visual,
right.
Talking of personalization, right? So, you know, just paint the picture. What we've got, right, what we're talking about here, right, is, you know, based upon social engagement activity. Yeah, someone's been put into a smart list. And that's driven an interesting moment, and that interesting moment in this example, sees the sales rep notified that some activity has taken place, that the end person has engaged with some social content. So, you know, putting that into context, and the way that I use it with inside my sales team, right, as an example. And you know, we have a number of technologies with inside our own tech stack, right? It's like, you know, Marketo for marketing automation, Salesforce for CRM, Oktopost from a social perspective. If we post something out through the Oktopost platform, someone engages with it, and one of my sales team has an active opportunity, that they're working inside Salesforce, and this contact, this lead, is associated to that opportunity, right? And so, say it's Shani, and Shani clicks on it, then the seller that is working that opportunity, is notified via email. As well as via interesting moments, but is notified that this, you know, that Shani engaged with this piece of content, and you know, if it was a comment that she posted, it's like, you know, what was the comment? Was it positive, negative, neutral? I mean, it gives the seller, an excuse. Excuse is the wrong word. An opportunity. I think that's the right word.
That is definitely the right word.
An opportunity, not excuse. It gives them an opportunity to, you know, to further engage, right? Whether that be via the phone, via email, back via social, with that lead and that prospect, in order to hopefully have a positive impact upon the opportunity. And the way that all came about was because of that link click, because they were put into a smart list off the back of that inside Marketo, and then because Marketo sparked its interesting moments.
Yeah, so again, a very, very, very efficient and clear way to see how marketing technology can communicate together, from a social link click all the way through a marketing automation smart list and into the hands of a salesperson. And I think the bottom line is, you know, we want to have meaningful conversations. We're not robots. We don't want to sound automated. We don't want to just send out generic newsletters and generic pieces of content. And when we can really hone in on what's interesting for the individual, it does open the doors, and meaningful conversations then just come naturally.
Yeah, I guess, Shanice, like, you know, the key thing there, right, is as marketers, why do we exist? Right? Why are we there? Right? What's the job of marketing? Right? And that's a question that you know, we get asked day in, day out. I'm sure you do as well, right, Jamie? It's like, you know, what's our purpose in life?
Perfect segue there. You know, this is a great opportunity for marketers to influence the sales cycle, because oftentimes, once the opportunity is created, the salespeople might block the marketer and, you know, turn off marketing, because they don't want the wrong piece of content to go out, that they don't want the customer or the prospect to see. So this is a way, now that we have an interesting moment, I've alerted the salesperson that this is happening socially, but I can, as a marketer, I can also provide campaigns, individualized campaigns within the CRM, or with that the salesperson can access, and they can automatically or, you know, manually put that person into a marketing campaign, a very personalized marketing campaign based on that channel that they're communicating over. And we can send content based on that. So not only can we capture this information, but we can still influence the sales cycle even after we pass the lead and the opportunity over to the sales team.
I like to say
Totally.
selling's a team sport. Oh, sorry, Shani.
No, you go. That
selling's
much
a team
better
sport.
one-liner than mine was.
No. I mean, selling's a team sport, and an important part of that team is marketing, right? It's like you know,
Absolutely.
it takes a village to close a deal, right? It's like and you know, whether it be the seller themselves, you know, whether it be the marketing team that are supporting it, whether it be the financial controller, you know, whether it be operations, it takes a whole village to close a deal, right? It's like don't get me wrong, sales get the glory, but you know, the marketing team are certainly a key and important part of the sales success, because if it didn't start with marketing, where did it start?
Definitely.
It's key to get that attribution as well, you know, not only to influence, but actually, like you said earlier, to quantify that influence. And so to be able to track all of these different interactions, not just the emails we sent, or not just the event we threw, but the posts that we've made, all those kind of things that created engagement. That is important to understand, to be able to track that, and then to be able to report on it, so that the CMO or the VP of demand gen or whoever can go to the table and say, hey, this is how we influenced your pipeline. This is how we influenced the bottom line at the end of the quarter.
But the difficult thing, right, Jamie, and I think the reason that social is so often overlooked, right, is that most people think of social metrics as being at the post level, right? So post level analytics, how many clicks did this particular post get, right? It's like how
many likes did it get, or how many comments?
People aren't thinking of it down at the lead level, right? It's like people aren't thinking about the who has engaged, because getting that information is hard, right? It's like it's especially if you're doing it manually. It's like how many posts does the average brand send out on LinkedIn? It's like every day, and having someone sit there and look at all of those posts and look at all of the engagement, right? It's like whether it be comments, whether it be reactions. Getting all of that information's hard, right? And that's where technology, really has a role to play.
Yep, the technology here is key to getting all that data into one area, particularly Marketo or CDP or something like that, and to be able to analyze the entire data set. And from that data set, you can then really understand what's going on.
Yeah. And give the credit and the attribution and the kudos and the pat on the back where it's due. I think one of the examples, or not examples, but a story, and an important story to be told, also has to do with Octopus Tracking and being able to really, again, understand those different touch points. We're able to attribute back to social very easily. We have our conversion tracking. It's not difficult for us to see who from social is clicking on our content, reaching a form and filling it out. But what happens between the social media research and the clicking on the links to the form? Maybe they did a Google search and maybe they ended up from Google on that landing page. SEO would get all of the credit in that scenario because, hey, they came from Google. But the reality is that first touch and that second touch and that third touch actually originated on social media. So if you don't know what's effective and what works for your organization, it's going to show. You're going to, the proof is going to be in the data that you're providing, and you're going to continue putting the resources and the budget and the time into SEO. And you're going to see less and less because you're putting less into social media. That's just that in that specific story right there.
Yeah, with any social activity though, right, or any social program, Shani, right? Content is a key thing, and I know that's a topic for a whole different day, right? But with marketing automation, right? It's like if we're deploying Marketo, for example, and a social strategy, right? It's like don't underestimate the investment that you need to make, right, in content, because content is king to all of that.
Yeah. All right, guys, we have this section, I think, really just sums it all up. It ties everything that we've spoken about together. And we're talking here social data inside of Marketo Engage. Jamie, I would love to hear from you a little bit more about this. I know we have a couple of slides. If I'm not switching fast enough, nobody hear that. If I'm not switching fast enough between the slides, tell me and I will move quicker.
No worries. Yeah, so thank you for queuing this up. But I've been working at Marketo for 7 years now. I've worked with maybe 200 different customers of Marketo, helping them set up their marketing strategies. And many, most of them have a really strong social strategy or aspire to have that strategy. And over time, we've found 4 key steps really to making that a reality. And really very straightforward. The first thing you really need to do, synchronize your social data with your marketing platform. So don't let it be in a silo. Make sure that you have a great, you can stay at the first slide actually.
Oh no, I'm going back, sorry. I tried.
Yeah, so synchronize your social data into the rest of your data. Very key. You don't want to be doing this in a silo. It's very important to have it together. Create a marketing plan that orchestrates across all of your different channels, because social, it usually supports other channels and other campaigns. So it's not always just the main focus. You want to calculate your lead score. So especially, kind of in the B2B space, you really want to have lead scores, and you want to incorporate that social data into the lead score. Because, just another channel and a very active channel. Like myself, I'm on Twitter all the time. I'm on Facebook all the time, Instagram. I'm doing different things. I'm looking at different content. That's very relevant, very recent data. And then lastly, you really want to understand the ROI and the different insights that you can gain from these behaviors, and do your attribution, do your analytics, and prove the value to the executive team. That's really key. Because you want that budget. Not only do you want the accolades or what have you, but you want the budget, and you want to be taken seriously in the boardroom. And the only way to do that is to come with the numbers, right? So go ahead and move forward.
There we go. That was the cue I was waiting for.
And
subtle cue.
I've kind of gone through this, but you really want to synchronize your social data with the rest of your data. That could be in your marketing platform, that can be in your CDP, a variety of different places to put that data, but you want it all in one location so that you don't have this silo. And because if you're having a great social campaign, you're going to get conversions, you're going to have new people that are introduced to your brand, and that's going to grow your database, and that's going to help you with your next campaign and growing that campaign. Like I said, it's going to help you with more accurate lead scores with this recent data, recent activities, relevant activities that are going on in social. And again, it allows you to calculate that ROI. So go ahead and move forward there.
Which is, I think, always key. That's always the bottom line. We want to know, if we're putting money out there, what are we getting in return? And being able to collect that data and see it in that one place really allows us to identify that ROI.
Yeah, and again, developing the marketing plan. Really, again, social media is not a silo. These buyers are moving across channels. They go from one channel to the next and back. And you want to be tracking that data. You also want to be personalizing the data. So, when people are on, like I said, when people are on Twitter or when they're on Facebook, a little bit more lighter content. When they're interacting with email, you can have more detailed, more business-like content. And then also, when you're using these different channels like email, you can incorporate social. You can encourage them to go to your Facebook page. You can encourage them to go to your Instagram or other channels that you're using in the social space, and vice versa. You might be advertising on Facebook, to download a white paper or something like that, or to get them to sign up for an event that you have coming up. Maybe you're having a mixer downtown San Francisco or what have you. That's a great place to invite somebody to that mixer. And so to get them to go from that social channel to a live channel, so it's really a powerful way to kind of augment what you're doing with your other more traditional channels.
Sure. Maybe one day we'll be able to meet in person again, Jamie.
That would be great. It's happening in certain places, but yeah.
So slowly but surely, we'll make sure it's safe first.
Yeah. So the lead score. So now when we get to the lead score, you really want to be using this data. So again, the data needs to be in one place, and you can use that data to create and enhance your lead scoring. You can, you might have your traditional lead scores, your propensity scores, your buyer scores, product scores. You might have a social score, but you can use these to help you understand what people are doing, understand what their interests are, what products they're interested in, what their propensity is to buy. Are they like other buyers? What have other buyers done? What are the key signals other buyers have given before they actually made that purchase? What content they downloaded, what events they did, how they interacted with you on social, right? And so you can create different lead scores to track all of these things, and then use those lead scores to move them through the funnel, right? So you may not be engaging them on email. Maybe they don't respond to your emails, but they may be driving their lead score on Facebook or on Twitter or wherever else you are. And you can use that to move them to a marketing qualified lead, for example, or a sales qualified lead. And based on their social activities, you can augment what you're doing on these other channels. So really important to have that data, to be able to understand the data. And it's not just, like a one size fits all. Sure. You're going to have to do some trial and error. You're going to have to do some experimentation and have multiple lead scores going on simultaneously, and continue to update kind of that algorithm, that calculation that you're doing over time. Just like they do with Google search. I mean, that started off as an algorithm, and over time it's changed, and it's much different now than when it was 10 years ago. Ask any SEO professional, they know that it's changed dramatically. And your lead scoring methodology will change over time as well, based on the different social channels you're using and based on new social channels that may come to light in the next, over the next few years.
Sure. It has to evolve. It has to mature along with the organization and along with the times. It can't, having a lead scoring model that's set in the ways of 5 or 10 years ago, you're not going to get the same, the same type of successes that you would if you're now incorporating these newer channels and these more, maybe not so, what's the word I'm looking for? Channels that you would have least expected. And social is really taking a prominent step in that B2B space as, not just for the brand awareness and not just for the presence, but as a reliable source to go to get your news, to get your conversations, to meet new people, to network. And I think, your scoring model, your nurturing, it has to evolve with the times as well.
Definitely. I mean, I think even in the B2B space, traditionally, a lot of our B2B customers were not effectively using social, but they're adopting more and more now. And so that's changing.
It's likely because they're seeing what their competitors are doing and what other people in their industry are doing. And they see that, hey, company X is a huge competitor of ours. They're on social media. They're very active. They have a ton of followers. They get a ton of traction. We need to be there too. And we need to see how we can get those types of engagements. And I think that's, again, it's an evolution of marketing.
Definitely.
Next webinar, evolution of marketing.
I like it.
We're going to have Jamie back for that one, right?
Jamie, you're coming back.
And lastly, just determining the ROI and, the different insights you might gain from this data and you can do your attribution using social data, you know, improving your attribution.
Yeah.
And we found there's several different kind of metrics that we do at Marketo. In particular, this is what we recommend to most of our customers. But, you know, 3 different kind of distinct stages. You got your early stage social marketing, you got mid stage, and you got late stage. So in the early stage, when you're doing this tracking, to kind of understand the value that you're creating with your early stage social marketing, you really want to track number of followers. So how many people are following your content, following your different, you know, Facebook page, Twitter account, all the other ones that you might be doing. How does that change over time? Does particular content change that? How engaged are those people? Are they retweeting? Are they commenting? Are they sharing that content? Key one there, new name. So anybody who converts and starts following you because of your content, really great to know who those people are. And then the cost per lead. So how much did you invest in that channel per, you know, engaged person and new person? Okay, so that's how we track the early stage. At the mid stage, then what we're doing is removing these leads from the marketing platform, typically to the CRM, and we want to track how many MQLs did we generate from the social channels. You know, so how many of these are really engaged, and we can track them, we can understand who they are, the company they work for, you know, all the demos and the firmographics to determine an MQL. Secondly, the SQL, how many of those marketing qualified leads were accepted by the sales teams? So that's a key indicator of the value of my social channel. How many of those turned into opportunities, and what are the value of those opportunities? So at the mid stage, it's really all about, of the people that we engage with in the early stage, how many of them are really good targets, and what is the value of that pipeline we generated? And at the late stage, what we can do, because we have the data, and because we can tie that data to the person, and the person or group of people to the opportunity, we can do the full attribution. So we can understand how many opportunities we won from people who were engaged on our social channel, how much revenue that created for my company, and lastly, what's the lifetime value of those customers? Do they buy again and again? Are they engaged over time? And are we going to generate, you know, a really valuable customer that keeps coming back to us?
Amazing. Colin, we are, well, I cannot believe we're almost at the top of the hour. That I feel like we need to piggyback on another webinar off of this to carry on. Before we jump into the Q&A, we got a handful of good questions that came in. Anything that you wanted to maybe add on top of this? I mean, this was clear as day for me.
Yeah, no,
I'm not good with the puns today.
Are you saying clear as day because my surname's Day? Is that?
Yes, exactly. That's it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no worries. No, I think yeah, I think Jamie buttoned it up there, right? It's like you know, it's like Jamie, I'd have a question for you, if I may. It's like I don't know if I can keep the questions off, Shani, but
Please,
I've got
go
one.
ahead.
I've got one for you, Jamie. Right? It's like and not to lead the jury, me honor, but just sticking with this slide, right? You've got early, mid, and late stage, you know, metrics and things to measure. Would you see that the copy that you would share, right? It's like out through social. You know, when you're trying to impact those different stages would change, because it would normally, right? It's like if you think about the assets that I would share, say through an email campaign, right? It's like you know, earlier in the buying cycle, right? It's like you know, it'd be more educational and informational type message, whereas you know, later stages, I'm doing more diligence on the vendor or the platform, right? It'd be more use cases or case studies and references, right? It's like, do you see that the same kind of flow from a social perspective?
Definitely. In early stage, we focus on fun content, entertaining content, engaging content. So it's not as much, you know, we do educate, but we focus a little bit more on fun. at the early stage. We want to capture their attention. We want them to like us. So that's kind of how you engage on socials, really focusing on the fun. At the mid stage is where you're going to focus on education. And so really providing them the deep content when you know they're engaged with you. You don't want to, like if you go to a party and you meet somebody there at the party, you don't start off, talking about physics or something. You know what I mean? You talk about your day. You talk about what you did. You talk about taking your electric bike down to the beach and cruising around and having a good time, right? You try to make that person laugh and smile. That's what you want to do at a party. Maybe when you're having coffee and you're talking about maybe that person wants to work at your place of business, that's when you get into the education. That's when you start really getting deep into what that person wants. And you start to learn more about that person, more at a mid stage. And then late stage, that's the interview, I guess, for this analogy. But the late stage, that's when you focus on closing the business. How can we prove value and say, hey, let's close this deal, we're ready to go. So to me, I think early is fun, mid is educational, and late stages we're really focusing on value and closing the deal.
That makes sense.
Makes sense.
So we did get a handful of really great questions that came in. I am going to be conscious of time. So if I don't get to everything, there will be content following this webinar that will answer each and every question that has come in. So keep your eyes peeled. And also I'll note right now that the recording as well as the deck will be sent to you. If not later today, then certainly first thing tomorrow morning, you'll have it in your inbox. But again, if I don't get to your questions today, they will be answered, and you can always reach out to any one of us, Shani at Oktopost, Colin at Oktopost, and Jam Lewis. I love your email, Jam Lewis at Adobe. We'll be more than happy to help. So to kickstart this, what's more important to measure, link clicks or actual vanity metric type engagements like the likes, the comments, the shares?
Who's that to, Shani?
I think that's for you, Colin, when we're talking about the social, like the actual social metrics to measure on. And I certainly have, what I would say in here, but. So
the question is vanity metrics versus something that's actionable, right? That's the question. Yeah. Do I need to answer it? Do I need to answer that?
I think you did.
Right. It's like, look, I'm not going to say duh, right? But, to me, it's a case of, look, as marketers, again, it's like I'll put out there, right? Our job as marketers, is to support the sales process, right? It's like, it's for me, I was always taught that it's, how am I delivering value to my shareholders, right? And shareholders, means public companies. I'm not talking about that type of shareholder. It's whoever, right? Whoever is a shareholder within the business, right? So to me, as a marketer, it's all about how am I impacting the return for the shareholders. Therefore, it's all about driving top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel activity. It's all about contribution to pipeline, contribution to close one business. So therefore, my simple answer, Shani, is it has to be metrics that I can undertake business activity on versus vanity.
Yeah. I think I always give the example of my grandma, who is very active on social media and goes like happy and clicks like on every single post. She also has a LinkedIn, so every single social post I put on LinkedIn, my grandma, without fail, is going to like that post. And that's not, I love her and I value her input and her feedback greatly, but I can't do anything with a like. I know that she goes like happy. I know it's very easy to just click the like button with your friends and your colleagues and your whoever it is. What is a little different is when you're clicking on a link and you're taking the time to read the content and to understand what it means and then to then engage with further content. But on top of that, at the end of the day, your CMO, your VP marketing, they have the criteria and your KPIs on what you should be measured on. And if it is likes and if it is engagements, then so be it. But don't take away from those more concrete engagements like the link clicks and the conversions.
I'd say in that example though, Shani, right? When you say it's like your CMO may be measuring you on those vanity metrics, sometimes that's because the CMO doesn't necessarily know what is capable, right? It's like what can be achieved out there, right? It's like some of this stuff is relatively new, right? And the CMOs may have been a more seasoned veteran from a marketing perspective and what was capable, or what they had. It's like in their day and age when they started out, it's like maybe different now. So sometimes it's a case of and I'm not saying that I'm not saying the lack of knowledge, right, is an excuse. But sometimes people just don't know what the art of the possible is.
What else is possible? Yeah. No, I get that. Again, being very conscious of time, this question came in, and I think that this is very related to the people buy from people that are the conversation, or the earlier topic that we were speaking today. With so many players in an organization who can benefit from social engagement, how do we get everyone on board and being able to execute the plan? And we're talking here the sales team, the support team, the marketing team. How do we unite everyone together for the betterment of the organization and for the betterment of that individual as well? I suspect this is someone that might have listened to some of our advocacy webinars or might be familiar with our employee advocacy solution. But employees should not be taken out of this equation by any means. They're a huge asset to any organization. Colin, I'll let you take the lead on this, and I'll add my 2 cents afterwards.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, it all starts with education, right? It's like, forget the employee advocacy side of things at the moment, right? But it starts with education. It starts with, getting the team and getting everyone to understand, the value that social engagement can bring. Right now, if we take that specific question and put an employee advocacy spin on it, why would a brand want to go down the route of getting all of their staff involved? If you look at the reach, typically of all of the corporate social channels, and you look at the collective reach of all of the employee social channels, the reach of the employees is typically 10 times more, at least, than that of the corporate channels. And then add to that, the people buy to people element, right? It's like it's statistically proven that 8 times more engagement will happen, right, for social posts that go out from an employee through a personal channel than through a corporate branded channel.
And one thing I've found as well is you should gamify this and give an incentive to the employees to do this. So that's another key way to drive behaviors. Just provide some kind of incentive. If you do that, you won't get everybody. You'll get 10% of the people, but they'll be like, superstars. And
super users,
they'll be super users. They'll be into the game and they'll be trying to win. And so
actually, Jamie, statistically there, right? It's like you said 10%. Statistically, you'll see on an advocacy program, at a corporate level, you'll see around 25% of the workforce actually get engaged and jump on board and become advocates. So
love
it's a little
statistics.
It's a little bit higher than that.
Do not go head to head with Colin on statistics.
That's good though. That's perfect. I think I think maybe, absolutely more than 10%. But, whatever that number is, those are going to be the key people to help drive that initiative.
Right.
And people will fight over a coffee card, right? It's like over a Starbucks card. People will compete over the smallest of things, right? It's like I've seen people give away iPhones or tank driving experiences. I've seen people give away a $5.
Saw Apple Watches for every single month. They gave away Apple Watches, and I was like, I'll advocate for you. I'll add myself to your board.
Yep.
No, and I think the beauty is that advocate and your employee social data also does not have to sit in a silo. It can be measured, it can be understood. You can very well understand, hey, is my advocacy program even more effective than my corporate social content? Not to say we shouldn't put out content on our corporate profiles, but it just shows how effective your employees can be. And it really, for the employee as well, it's extremely beneficial for them. We are at the round hour, guys. I have a feeling we could go on for a much longer time than this. I know I didn't get around to all of the questions, but as I did mention, we will be creating some more bits and pieces. So keep an eye out on our social channels, keep an eye out on our blogs. I'll make sure to incorporate the questions into some sort of forum so that our audience can have some follow-up answers and some things to go off of. But obviously, always reach out to us. Again, our emails are right here. You don't need to memorize it because we're sending you this deck. And
what's your social handle though, Shanice? Like, this is social. You should have put our social handles on there, right?
624. At Lightbright624. No, but I want to say thank you again, Colin. Always a pleasure. I mean, we speak quite regularly, but love seeing you in a button down on a webinar. And Jamie, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so much fun. It was great having you. It was great having your input and feedback. And I hope you had a little bit of fun yourself.
I had fun. It was great. Good to be here. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you both. And thank you to our audience. So as I said before, and I'll say it again, we're continuing with our From the Expert series indefinitely. So stay tuned for our next episode. It's going to be towards the end of October. And I look forward to seeing you guys then. And in the meantime, continue to stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll speak soon. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.